two. Check two. Desda, hello. I got one click. Look at that. I tweeted that I'm live right away. And already got one click. Thank you, Desda. Thank you for letting me know. Hello, Lodane. And thanks for the raid, Lodane. I hope the pre-show was good. Thank you for the raid. Thank you, everyone. Hello. Welcome. How's it going? Thank you, Metal Dipshit, as well. Metal Dipshit with the 15 months resub at tier 3. Look at that. Great stuff. Thank you, Metal Dipshit. I appreciate that a lot. Hold on a sec here. Figure video. Huh. Hello. Okay. We're getting started. You don't need to juice the tweet. We don't need to juice the tweet. I mean, you can if you want. Feel free. Feel free to juice this or any other tweet if you like. You look like you've come back to life. Thank you, 10,000 sandwiches. I'm feeling okay. Am I? Am I feeling okay? I don't know. I'm glad that I look like I'm feeling okay. That's a good start. Still very low energy. I'm very, very, very low energy. This is going to be another low energy stream.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Ben Bang Boom, thanks for the 9 months of tier 1. Thank you, Ben Bang Boom. But can we slurp juice the tweet? And I'm going to say yes. I'm really tired all the time. Really exhausted all the time.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Juice the tweet.
Thank you, Darius. 9 months of tier 1. I appreciate that, Darius. Thank you very much. You can use multiple slip juices on a single tweet.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
6 months of subversion. Love you, Rob and chat. Thanks for surviving COVID so I don't have to watch Hassan.
Thank you to one of our valued community members, Fart Party 69. Thank you, Fart Party 69. And we don't need to slander Hassan, okay? We don't need to, because I still need to, hope that sometimes I get the odd Hassan refugees. So I have to, politically, you know how it is. Gotta keep it political over here. But thank you, Fart Party 69. And thanks also to Outrun, mod of the stream and Discord mod, Outrun, aka Marty, a very special boy, a special birthday boy. In fact, can we get a happy birthday, Outrun, going in the chat, please? Outrun does so much for this community. Maybe not so much this weekend when there was a long-planned Avatar movie night, of which I was there right away. I was there, obviously. I knew it was going on, and I was there right away. Excited to watch Avatar with the members of this community. Unfortunately, Outrun kind of dropped the ball on that one. Which was, it was a little disappointing, but still, even still, we do still appreciate Marty or Outrun. I was oddly punctual. It was because Sean reminded me that it was happening. If Sean hadn't reminded me, I never would have known. I never ever would have known if Sean had not reminded me. Happy birthday, Rob. Thank you, Maxi. Thank you. We are rescheduling. We will be watching Avatar in the community. In fact, I would say not this Saturday, but the following Saturday is when I would, and it was when I would choose to reschedule that. We still have 4 months until Avatar 2. I do want to see it sooner rather than later, though, frankly, because it's a brilliant film and I love it. That's what I would say. Maybe we can check. Everyone can check their schedules on that. Maybe everyone can check their schedules. Okay, I'm pretty open to whatever. Okay, so yeah, I'm here. I still don't feel physically great. I still feel very low energy. Frankly feel a little depressed today. If you want me to be perfectly honest with you about my mental state, it's not great. I don't feel good. I feel, in fact, quite bad. I know it's hard to tell from the chipper, attitude that I have here. I know it's hard to discern this. But I'm just like, I don't know. I am really, really low energy, and it's kind of frustrating not ever feeling like I have energy. Like I tried to actually do some stuff this weekend. I mowed the lawn. I mowed the lawn yesterday, and I had to sleep for 2 hours after because it just took so much out of me, and I don't have a lot of energy, and probably if it was up to me, I would just not do the stream today. But because my life now, for whatever reason, relies on the endless hamster wheel of content creation here on Twitch and elsewhere, I don't really have an option. Have you tried pulling yourself up from your bootstraps? I have, yes. And I'm physically very weak, so it's difficult. I am going out tonight. I'm going to go out to see some friends for the first time pretty much all summer. Essentially, that'll be kind of nice. I'm seeing a couple of Canadian lefty journalist friends tonight, which should be kind of nice. Again, I don't really super feel like doing anything, but I'm going to force myself. I'm going to see our friend Andre Goulet of Harbinger Media. And our friend Nashua is going to be there. The two Michaels, obviously. Michael Buchert is going to be there as well, which I don't know if we get another Michael, then that would be two Michaels. Some other fine folks.
You can count on me.
That should be fun.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I tried to start going on walks every day last week, and now my heel hurts from walking. How am I this fragile? I don't know, Eric. You're a younger guy too, aren't you? I feel like that's going to be not to be a doomsayer about your own physical health, but that's tricky. That is very tricky. Thank you, Yashbutt, for the gifted sub. Very kind of you, Yashbutt. I really appreciate that. I'm inches away from death, and I'm 92 years old. Okay, good. Anyway, regardless of any of that, I'm going to try and get through this today. I can do at least a couple hours here. I gotta leave. I gotta leave around 4:15, so I don't have a ton of time, and again, I just don't have a ton of energy. So try to make do. Try to get some good streaming time on here today. Anyway. Surefire way to cheer everyone up is talking about the latest geopolitical events. There's a lot of stuff to feel great about, so that should lift everyone's spirits, I think. We do have some funny stuff to take a look at. Which should be cool. We might have to do a little pop culture chat, as I referenced in the stream title there. We got a new dragon show out. We're doing it is weird. I got to say it's weird. It was weird Sunday night seeing the Game of Thrones discourse again. That was kind of odd, wasn't it? What did we think of the dragon show? Who are we dragging? Dragging these nuts. That's right. My HBO kept crashing when I tried turning it on. I just ended up going for the old. I found other means to watch this program, which is amazing because like I actually pay so much extra on my Bell bill for get access to like Crave and all that stuff, and I just never ever watch it. I've been paying the last 2 years. I've been paying like $30 extra on my bill for this service that I just don't use. I never use it. And then, of course, I tried to use it last night for once, and it just didn't work. So I ended up using other means to watch the Dragon Show. It was a very good premiere episode. I think stacking it up to the original Game of Thrones, which I think hooks you really right away in an interesting way and has a lot of compelling characters right off the bat. I didn't really get the sense, feel all that compelled by any of the actual characters in this show. In fact, I don't find the Targaryens all that interesting. I think the Targaryens were more interesting in the original program when they're not really around anymore, and just all the references to how powerful they used to be. I think that made them kind of interesting and mysterious, and inevitably when you do a whole show about Targaryens, it's kind of like they're just not, I don't find them that interesting. Yeah, but kind of better as a myth. That's kind of what I mean. It does set up, I think, some pretty interesting drama in terms of the sort of this battle for succession that's going to come, based on the events of the first episode. I'll probably watch it. There just doesn't really seem to be a character like a Tyrion or the Robert Baratheon, or there's not really these characters that oh, I want to tune in to see these characters each week. I didn't really get that feeling from the first episode. I guess Matt Smith's Daemon character is probably the most interesting one, who's kind of one of the classic sort of sadistic freaks. Who's obviously going to be a central figure in this new it's about the Dance of Dragons. Prince Daemon. That's right, Doc. That's exactly what it is. So it does set up some fairly compelling stakes, I think, in the first episode. Read A Song of Ice and Fire, Overwatch, and Game of Thrones. Well, I read all the books. I think after season 4 of Game of Thrones, I was like, okay, I have to read the books because now I'm really interested in this and I want to find out what's going on. So I did. I have read all the George R.R. Martin books. Yeah, and coincidentally, as soon as it got off the book path, the show just went completely into the garbage. Important question. We stopped GOT very early because they killed a dog. Is there more dog killing in the show? I wouldn't say there's more. I don't think there's more dog killing. There's plenty of upsetting shit that happens though. Those books are never getting finished. I don't know. It's I saw George put out a blog post the other day where he's still talking it's going to be finished eventually. Winds of Winter. I think Winds of Winter might be closer to being finished than we think. I think he might actually finish. I don't know. I think he might actually do it. I think the crazy son of a bitch might do it. This is insane. Well, I don't really have anything tied up in it. I don't really mind either way if he doesn't. I don't even know if I'll read it if he does put it out. But yeah, I did enjoy the books when I did read them though, and that's the thing. When I was getting back into it, I was trying to get back into the Game of Thrones mindset. The Song of Ice and Fire mindset. The book Stannis was pretty compelling. Yeah, Stannis the Menace, as he was known in the fandom. He's a Jets fan. He ain't making it past the finish line. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like I watched the show last night. I'll probably keep watching that garbage, as they say, as the famous saying goes. I'm not super compelled, out the gate, though. Some very important information from Bucharest, Romania about Andrew Tate. It said he never had a Bugatti and he's role-playing as Jeffrey Epstein in a theater production in Romania. That's why they want him to be locked up for sex trafficking. And also, Michaela Peterson, his ex, is playing Hill Dog in the play. That is some pretty serious intel, Coal Mine. That is some pretty serious intel. George is going to own his fans so hard when he dies before he finishes his book series he started in the 90s. I mean, it is amazing how he just pivoted to doing like other stuff. Like he's not even... That's been the funny thing with everyone complaining about him not finishing the book, and he's just like, oh, I did this whole video game. I did this whole like encyclopedic Westeros thing. It's not like he's not doing anything. It's like he's not writing. He's just not writing the thing that people want him to write, which I respect. I respect that. Writing is hard. Finishing projects is really hard. I respect that he's just like, I'm not really feeling this right now, actually. I'm not really feeling it. Sorry. I think I'm going to move on to other stuff now. And everyone's doing the Wojak face going, no, you can't, you have to finish it. And he's just like, no, I don't think so. That's kind of impressive. That's kind of it's kind of a Chad move. You have to respect that. It is a power move. I remember when he was like, do you know how complicated these books are? I keep forgetting where everyone is. Pissing off the people that read fantasy books is very funny. And that was one of the things about the books that it would get so off the rails too, with introducing new characters and storylines and stuff. And it's like, George, shouldn't you just focus on the iconic characters that you've already created and just focus on them? And, try and finish that? And he's just like, no, I'm going to keep adding more shit. I'm just going to keep adding more stuff. What are these Renfest nerds going to do to me? Patrick Rothfuss never going to finish his series either, and that's even only a trilogy. Yeah, and I read the first one of those. The what's it called again? The Name of the Wind? Is that it? I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that. I never read the second one, though. I kind of liked how Name of the Wind kind of combined the sort of Harry Potter school stuff with like a little bit more for like adults. And with mixed with other elements as well. I just want another author to describe meals quite like he does because it always makes me hungry. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember all the food tropes because now it's been like 6 or 7 years since I read the books, but I do remember that all the fixation on like the drizzled butter and the bread, the stew and all the whatever. That was probably a bad description of the George R.R. Martin's food tropes, but it's been a while since I read these, like I said. Any Starbucks cups? No, I didn't see any. The drizzled butter. Yeah, that's right. I have the recipe book. if people are into modern fantasy, because like when I got into those Game of Thrones books, it got me off on like kind of a modern fantasy kick. Once I finished those, I was like, I want to see more of what's going on, and I read the Locke Lamora series. I can't remember the author of that. All back here. The Scott Lynch series, who I think is now canceled. I think he's now canceled, but I liked that series. But what I really enjoyed was these books by Joe Abercrombie, which to me, like Amazon or whoever is just leaving money on the table, not adapting these Joe Abercrombie books. They're so fucking good. It's the First Law trilogy, and then he did a bunch of one-offs. Like this is Best Served Cold is like one of his one-offs, which is kind of like this. It's like a revenge. It's like a revenge story. It's kind of like fantasy Kill Bill. I really enjoy those. I really enjoy those ones. They're very, very cinematic. Every book is kind of a little bit different. There's a lot more. It's like fantasy, but with colonialism. It's like British Empire fantasy, kind of, or kind of this kind of aristocratic element. Very cinematic though, like very, very heavily influenced by like Western cinema. Like one book is like more of a Western. It's like a fantasy Western. Really highly recommend those. Really interesting. Highly recommend those Joe Abercrombie books. And yeah, I guess the algorithm has said it wouldn't make money, but I'm sure it would though. I'm sure it would. The Robin Hobb books, starting with The Fool's Assassin, are also genuinely good as opposed to some popular modern fantasy, which is trash. I haven't read those ones. I want to read that book recommended by local bookstore Queen Lindsay. I remember Lindsay, yeah. Aztec Empire Space Opera. That does sound... I would trust Lindsay's recommendations, frankly, about pretty much anything. Lindsay just has just good taste. We got to Stan Lindsay. Really, really enjoyed those Joe Abercrombie books, though. And I believe he's putting out more First Law books. He did these, and talk about someone that doesn't have the same, like, writer's block issues. He did the First Law trilogy. He did 3 one-offs after that. Then he went on to do this whole other trilogy, like in a sort of separate universe. And now I believe he's back to doing First Law books, which I would kind of like to get back into, probably. Because I really, really enjoyed that First Law trilogy. And for me, in terms of like a Game of Thrones prequel, I think I would much rather have a series that was about the Civil War, like the end of the Mad King and the young Ned Stark and young Robert Baratheon and the whole like Civil War that takes place with Rhaegar Targaryen. Rhaegar was always the most interesting Targaryen character, right? Because he's only ever like talked about, and his sort of myth has spread far and wide since he was killed. I would like to see that series. I think that would be the series I'd be much more interested in than this kind of like Targaryen Dance of Dragons thing, which I thought worked better as just sort of a myth. An Arya Stark adventure series after the finale, yeah, that would be cool. That would be very cool. Robert's Rebellion, that's right, yeah. I would have been into that. The Hot Pie Cooking Show, there we go. Hot pie. We love hot pie. Is anyone watching the Lord of the Rings prequel with Goth Sauron or whatever? I feel like I'll probably watch it. I remember when the image of Goth Sauron was coming out. I wanted to everyone was doing jokes about it, so I didn't, but I wanted to make a joke about how he was planning the a school stabbing in Gondor High School, Gondor High. That was my joke. That I just was so stupid and lazy that I just didn't even bother doing it. Goth Sour is my old math rock band name. There we go. This Game of Thrones talk is all reminding me how bad the show sucked. I mean, I really liked the show. Like I said, the first 4 seasons are excellent. As soon as it got off the book framework and you had Benioff and I think Benioff and Weiss, it's been an amazing fall from grace for them, right? They had a total blank check to do whatever. They were going to do Star Wars after. They were like the fuck, and they've done nothing since because they were exposed as being complete frauds. As soon as they got off the book framework and got to do their own thing with it, it's just like their whole careers just went completely in the fucking garbage. Yeah, they were going to do that alt history Civil War show, and everyone was just like, no. Hey, Goro, what's up? It's friend of the show, Goro. We're talking about Game of Thrones and fantasy stuff. Welcome, Goro. The sept explosion was pretty cool. That was cool. But that felt like a moment that was like in the framework that GRRM had provided them. And the whole thing with the last couple of seasons is that it might have been okay, but I think they condensed like 5 additional seasons of story into the last year and a half or so. Goro, I was just talking about Joe Abercrombie's series. See, this is why you fit in with this community, Goro. I love those Joe Abercrombie books. Yeah, GR told them they needed 10 to 13 seasons. What's up, horse? That's what I mean. It's like they completely were just like, we don't want to do this anymore for some reason. Because they're like, we want to pivot to all these new projects they want to do, and then they didn't do any of the projects. Yeah, an entire season could have been Daenerys slowly becoming paranoid and distant and everyone that she used to trust. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it could have been... They just speed run the entire last part of the show that could have gone on for 6-7 years. It was really bizarre. And have those guys done anything since then? Have they done anything at all? I'm sure HBO did want to keep going longer. They had it's a money printing machine. They had not only they had the show, but they had the big cultural they had the whole culture into this sort of iron grip. Yeah, they did fuck HBO. And then they were going to do a whole Star Wars trilogy, and then they were like, actually no. Really weird stuff. Weird creative decisions there. But yeah, I think the first 4 seasons especially, part of the thing with Game of Thrones as well, and this is an issue that I'm having with this new series, is that the thing that I loved about Game of Thrones when I started watching it in the first couple of seasons is that there was no magic bullshit, or there was no dragons. That was all being kind of referenced as stuff from the past that didn't really happen anymore. And it was all based on politics. That's what I found interesting. That's what I thought was cool. And then in the later seasons, it just gets into doing all the stuff that what they specifically avoided doing in those first couple of seasons that made it interesting. And then it became about dragons and weird monsters and creatures and all that stuff. That to me was always the not exciting or interesting part of Game of Thrones. What was cool was the deception, the politics, the sort of backstabbing, the jockeying for power. That was cool. And it was foreshadowed to be coming back, but I guess that was a problem with the way that it was condensed, is that it wasn't this gradual process. It's almost like this switch just flipped. But that's why that first season was so great, I think. The distance and speed problems, right? There was a lot of hand wavy stuff with that, wasn't there? It should have been about politics and the looming threat beyond the wall that they don't reveal if it's even real or not. Yeah. No more intrigue in the later seasons. Also, they simplified everything to clear good guys and bad guys. Yeah, all those shades of gray kind of disappeared. Liberals being shocked that Daenerys was the bad guy reveals so much about the liberal mind. I love all the kids that are like named Daenerys. That's funny. And Khaleesi and stuff like that. The no Lady Stoneheart hurt as well. Yeah, that was lame. Yeah, all the Hillary and Daenerys memes. Yes, absolutely. I'm still upset about how they handled Stannis Baratheon in the show. That's right, there was a big difference as well. And listen, the reality that no one wanted to acknowledge was that in the book or the show, after Robert Baratheon died, Stannis was the rightful king of Westeros. And anything outside of that was cope. I'm sorry to say. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like him. He was very clearly and obviously the rightful king of Westeros. That's just the reality. Renly was hot. That's true. He was. The threat beyond the wall was revealed to be real in the books. In the prologue to Book 1, all the refusals to unite against the White Walkers didn't have the same bite if you don't know from the beginning that there's a real threat to unite against. And I think that's a good point as well. Omega on the Sane. Although that's another problem with the way that the last few seasons were rushed as well, which is like the payoff of these White Walkers and the whole White Walker invasion is just like they just like instantly defeat it. There was no like stakes at all. There was a few big battles and it's like, okay, well, we took care of that. It was like a few episodes of the final season, and it's like, okay, all of that sort of worrying about where we're going to unite and we're not going to be able to get together and blah blah blah, and then they just immediately lose. Yeah, in one episode. Renly's plan would have worked, and his army would have beaten Stannis' army, but then a freaking dark shadow monster crept in and stabbed him to death. Well, if that's the thing with Renly, he may have been hot, but he simply should have surrendered his claim to Stannis, the rightful king of Westeros. The White Walkers should have instead gotten involved in politics. No one ever thought to vote them out. That's the real problem. Hello, Admiral Praxis. I will finish the series for GRRM. White Walkers win easy. That's significantly more interesting than what we saw. Where's Littlefinger's laptop? Oh, man. R plus L equals J. Remember when that was like interesting and exciting? Remember that? Which is another thing that eventually just got like no time in the actual show once that was actually sort of revealed. I'm trying to remember like where things left off. I mean, the last thing I remember from the books is the Stannis' army just getting like caught up in this, getting mucked down in the snow. on the way to Winterfell. Yeah.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I remember watching the Red Wedding episode with my parents who didn't know what was going to happen. My mom was so mad I didn't tell her what was going to happen that she didn't talk to me for like a week. I did love all the reaction videos that came out from the Red Wedding stuff. Because I was watching it as well, completely went into it completely blind. I was pretty stunned. I was pretty taken aback by that as well. And that was the interesting thing about it, right? Is that it set up a story that you thought you understood where the story was going, and then it was always pulling the rug out from under you. That was what was really interesting about it. And all the way that you think the narrative is going to make sense from the way these traditional stories go is always you're always kind of being kept off guard. Hey, Lana. I'm feeling okay. Low energy, very low energy. It's nice to be back here and hanging out with all you, though. I'm trying to get up my spirits here. Feeling a little down in the dumps today. It's fun talking about the Dragon show with y'all. It is making me want to kind of revisit the books, I gotta say, because I really did enjoy the books. I was also feeling bad. Mood changes. Don't trust the mood. Mood passes. Thank you, Goro. I appreciate that. Thank you. I love the weird, creepy mythology with the sea and whatever was going on down there. Some real old ones vibes. Yeah, and like the drowning and the drowning and seawater drinking stuff. That was all pretty much just abandoned in the show, right? And it was just like, yeah, he's just like a Euron or whatever. He's just like a crazy pirate, and like all that mythology was just kind of like, we don't need any of that stuff. Yeah, you're completely wasted. Totally wasted. Everyone here needs a strong dose of Lord of the Rings, IMO, myself included. I haven't read those in a very long time either. Not since I was in high school. I mean, I remember I read them before the films came out because I wanted to read the books before the Lord of the Rings films came out. That's how long ago that was. God, how that's over 20 years ago now. What the fuck? I remember it was like my last year of high school, and I was working at the Walmart in Brockville, Ontario, and there was a bookstore outside with and they started showing like the cutouts of Ian McKellen and the Gandalf costume and everything. That's so long ago now. That's so fucking long ago, folks. That's ridiculous. I demand to know the entire life history of the only Game of Thrones working class comrade, Hot Pie. Justice for Hot Pie. Hot Pie is pretty great. He is pretty great. The Hot Pie fandom is dying. And yeah, I've said it a couple times, but I got to reiterate what Goro is saying here is to read those Joe Abercrombie books. I have all of them. It's actually right. It's behind my Mao biography. Hidden behind my Mao biography. The Joe Abercrombie First Law trilogy. On my bookshelf. Really, if you're into this kind of like modern fantasy shit, can't recommend these highly enough. And especially, it's just very interesting. It's very interesting and different. The way that like it incorporates things like colonialism and like the Industrial Revolution, like into that kind of fantasy framework. What was the recommendation? It's the Joe Abercrombie First Law trilogy. Really good stuff. Speaking of Mao, we are reading him for Theory Book Club in the Discord next week. All are welcome. Got to join that Discord, folks. Got to join that Discord server. Sometimes I even make an appearance in there. Every now and then. But Red Scary does such a great job organizing those Theory Book Club events. And is like, I think it's a really cool spot to hang out and to learn and grow and talk about all this stuff together. So Goro, did you see this? We started off talking about the whole House of the Dragon thing. Did you watch that? I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. It's like very Red Bed Burgess. Hell yeah, Lucid. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll still be watching it. I think I'll still be watching it. Again, it's just kind of interesting to get back into the world. Although I'm keeping it at arm's length. I think. I think I've said what I need. Like, again, I don't find the Targaryens that interesting. I think it's more interesting to just reference the whole legend without getting into all the details of it. Another possible spirit-lifting tidbit is the small TRRS meetup on the weekend with DRP and Carnoba. Never done anything like that before. It's a testament to the community you fostered. Yeah, that was wonderful to see, old Dutch. And once again, we got to shout out community member M. Carnoba is the one member of this community who's determined to get it into like the real life, the real world. So it was really cool to see the meetups that have been happening. Yeah, that's right. There is a life and a world outside of all this here. In my opinion, the Game of Thrones prequel should have had a Dexter Jetster cameo. Eric, I got to admit, I don't understand that reference. I don't understand the reference. Oh, okay. The 50s diner in the Star Wars prequel. Okay. In Attack of the Clones. I gotcha. His career has slowed down, it's true. So, I mean, I guess we can take a look at some of the stuff that do we need to talk more about Throne of Games or Modern Fantasy or the First Law trilogy or the Gentleman Bastard sequence? And even though I think Scott Lynch has been canceled, I would probably recommend those as well, the Locke Lamora books. When is Star Wars going to give me the original programming I want? A 3-season series on Watto. Man. You know, as much as I respect George Lucas and the way that the prequels have aged pretty well, especially compared to the Disney version, that Watto. That Watto is kind of a problematic figure, isn't he? Little bit problematic, that Watto. No, I haven't read any of the Sanderson ones, no. No, I haven't. What is this, Goro?
But I do.
This is true, and I saw there's this clip and I saw a clip of George Lucas talking to James Cameron on the weekend too about how Star Wars was a Vietnam allegory and the rebels are the Viet Cong, which I don't think I'd ever heard him say like explicitly. Wait, do I want this? No, I want this.
But I do like movies. I love movies. And
George Lucas is very based.
Movies aren't popular. And you can say that going in. One of the reasons I retired is so I could make movies that aren't popular. Because in the world we live in the system we've created for ourselves in terms of it's a big industry, you cannot lose money. So the point is that you're forced to make a particular kind of movie. And I used to say this all the time when people, back when Russia was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government. Otherwise, they can do anything they want.
And so what do you have to do?
You have to adhere to a very narrow line of commercialism. And there's only certain, look, when I started in the 70s, it was like this. You know, I could say Russia was like this, but we were like this. You could do a certain kind of movie. And I flaunted that system. I mean, THX, my first film, is definitely not an American film, and I shoved it in sideways. Francis helped me trick the studio.
Yeah, right.
They would have never let me make that movie if they knew what I was doing.
This is really cool because I've talked often about how Star Wars is an allegory for Vietnam, and I had never heard it stated so explicitly by Lucas in this interview with James Cameron, Two Kings. And I'll always be more of a Cameron head than a Lucas head, but it's really interesting hearing Lucas talk about how specifically, which is again, people talk about woke Star Wars and stuff, the whole idea of the Empire being the U.S. Empire and the rebels being the Viet Cong, like, has completely been lost on people. This basic message about what the Empire is and what it's about and who the Empire represents.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the time?
Yes.
So it was a very anti-authoritarian, very kind of 60s against the man kind of thing, nested deep inside of a fantasy.
Or a colonial, we're fighting the largest empire in the world.
Right.
And we're just a bunch of hayseeds.
When did Star Wars go woke?
Skin hats that don't know nothing.
That's right.
And it was the same thing with the Vietnamese.
Yep.
The irony of that one is in both of those, the little guys won.
Right.
And the big, highly technical empire,
the English Empire, right?
the English Empire, the American Empire, lost.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
You did something very interesting with
Yeah, so it's just funny how much that like basic lesson just has been lost on people. And someone said something, Lucas is an interesting person as a director. I find him deeply lacking. Well, and yeah, Katrina, that's one thing we talked about. Like we talked a little bit last week about the new Obi-Wan series and got us talking about Star Wars and stuff. And we probably shouldn't go all the way down that path again, but That I think is even though I think the prequels have aged well. I think a lot of the problems with the prequels are that like it was Lucas and a team of like yes men, whereas with the original series you had Lucas kind of like driving everything, but he's bringing in really talented screenwriters and directors to make the films. And I think if the prequels had been done more in that kind of a method, that kind of a filmmaking method of Lucas kind of just being the big man, the boss, and then bringing in people to write the films and direct the films, they probably would have been even better, even though I think they've aged quite well. And Revenge of the Sith is still one of my favorite Star Wars films. I think that's a top 3 Star Wars film for me. Which is explicitly about, talk about interesting political messages, explicitly about, the way that bourgeois liberal democracy enables fascism. Some very interesting ideas, way more interesting ideas that are in the Disney films. Yeah, that's right, Goro. That's what I mean. Yeah. Should watch the Clone Wars series where gives his team more reign to do what they want, even if it's under his direction. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the Clone Wars series. In the first trilogy, if he had a bunch of competent folks to tell him, no, George, there shouldn't be a tall, weird, talking rabbit, racial stereotype. Yeah, that probably would have improved things a lot. That probably would have improved things. I guess we can, listen, we did a whole lot of pop culture discussion last week. I think we can probably move on from this. I always enjoy talking about this stuff, and I thought the new Game of Thrones is a good entry point to kind of get into this, but should probably get into more of the other couple things that I had in mind to get to talk about here. What do we say? Unless we want to just talk about space wizards and fucking dragon shit all day, we can do that too as well. We can do that. Oh, and you know what? I don't even think I thanked Outrun 17 whole minutes ago for gifting a sub to one of our other valued community members. Thank you, Outrun. On Outrun's birthday, no less. Out here modding the channel and gifting subs. That's the kind of dedication that we simply love to see. Dropping the ball on the Avatar thing it wasn't great, but we all make mistakes, okay? And I, for one, am not going to hold on to that for months or even years to pull out at any time that I feel like, just twisting the knife a little bit. That's not something that I would ever do. So I think we're all adults and we can move on from that. Absolutely. Yeah. Clone Wars was about a slave army fighting for neoliberalism in decline. I really should check it out. I've heard a lot of good things about the Clone Wars series. Word on the street is that this Overturn guy is the real power behind the throne. No, he's the king's hand. He's the king's hand. All right? Lodane is the actual power behind the throne. So there was a couple of just like dumb and embarrassing things that I saw posted today, which I thought we could just look at and react to and laugh at. Are you doing the Q2 Cloud Awards? We probably should do that today, shouldn't we? I've been putting that off. Asking for no reason. I have no stake in this whatsoever. I did promise it for today. Okay, well, we can do that. We can do the Cloud Awards. And once again, if you're in the Discord server, which I encourage everyone to join, if you're in that Discord server, anytime you do something nice and someone says thank you, you get a little social credit. The social credit bot comes in and gives you a little bit of social credit. Maesters are the ones who are really in control. Yeah, Lodane is like the Grand Maester. If Outrun is the hand, then Lodane is the Grand Maester. It has been a hell of a couple days in online leftism. It's been a hell of a couple of years, really, but really today. I'm like that guy they were going to drown with wine, but turned into a fool instead. That's right. Lodane is Cersei and Rob is Tommen Baratheon. I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that analogy. I don't know if it's exactly like that. Okay, so let's get to some of this stuff. There's some weird and embarrassing and silly things I wanted to take a look at. Number one. Remember a few days ago when Steven Crowder, because like the FBI investigated Mar-a-Lago, or they went and got those documents or whatever, and everyone was freaking out about it, and Mar-a-Lago is like, and Steven Crowder was like, it's war. It's civil war. He's doing like, we're going to do civil war now. And like, this is the result of that. And I have not looked at this. I have not looked at this yet. I saw that he posted it, and I saved it so we could take a look at it together here on this program. This is Steven Crowder's, this is his response to to Dark Brandon's subversion of democracy. He's using the FBI as his personal goon squad. And here's Steven Crowder's response.
Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts.
Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts with the poke do 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 do. With the poke do 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 do. With the poke do 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 do. Biden sharts with the Dutch do 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 do. With the Dutch do 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 do. With the Dutch do 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 do. Biden farts. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts. Enjoy more Biden farts at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub.
You know, when you see stuff like this, it's just really hard to believe that this guy's comedy career never took off. You know? It says a lot about society. It says a lot about society that this guy's comedy career failed to take off. Imagine paying us $70 for a membership. Imagine if your like brother was a $70 Mug Club subscriber. If you did content like this, you'd be front page every day. Do you mean like creating Biden farts content or reacts? The reacts like I'm doing now, Husker. It's $70 a month? It's $99 annually, or $69. Oh. Students, veterans, and the military. So... yeah, definitely really hard to believe. Really hard to believe, though, that this guy's comedy career just never took off. Biden farts kind of, I've never seen such comedy. That's right. I've never considered the fact that Biden farts, though. No one has ever thought about this. You could have 3 monthly tier 3 slubs to TRRS for that amount. What people are being played for absolute fools here. Biden had to resign in disgrace. Biden had to resign in disgrace after this video. And like what the baby shark thing, I mean, even that is like as a reference. As a reference, like we're doing baby shark references still? Really? It's the only song Steven knows. Like, I've heard that McFall has been hiring people to make a Putin farts video, and that would be devastating, obviously. No, we haven't seen Tim Pool's band return either. No. Has any like footage of that been leaked or whatever? I think Pool blocked me. I think Tim Pool hates free speech, and I think he blocked me for something like I think he may have blocked me for calling him Pim Tool. What's Tim Pool's like Twitter at? Is it Timcast? Is it that? Timcast? Timcast. Oh yeah, I think he blocked me for this. I think Tim Pool blocked me back for this in 2018 when I posted when he was talking about how he's like a liberal or whatever and hanging out with all these like baked Alaska and all these weird Nazis. And he blocked me for that. Sources are saying Biden does indeed fart out of his butt. It's really amazing just how unfunny Crowder is. Like it's pretty incredible. As someone that like once wanted to try and be like an actual comedian or whatever. And I guess when you have just like unlimited oil dark money that you can use to just do whatever, and just like you got a big loyal audience of like weird grandpas or whatever, you can get away with doing stuff like this. Crowder has now moved on from racism the joke to fart jokes. So technically his comedy is getting better. And it's like there's so many funny ways that you can make fun of Joe Biden being like a senile old like hair smelling predator weirdo. Like there's a number of different ways that you can do that in a funny way. And he's managed to stumble on the one unfunny way to talk about this. Using this reference from like 2015 of a popular YouTube meme from literally like 8 years ago. And just this lazy fart. I mean, you got to try harder than this. Damn, you're missing out on his new pinned post from 2 hours ago featuring a very shaky camera and a fog machine as Tim yells into a microphone with his band. Is it on YouTube, maybe? Because I must admit, while we're talking about cringe, I do kind of want to see that, frankly. I would love to see that. I don't see it. Do I have to open up a private tab? An incognito tab? So I can look at fucking Tim Pool's band? Is that what I have to do now? Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. Why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself, and why do I do it to other people? That's the question. And as a former band guy turned political commentator, I'm extra suited to be able to judge this kind of thing. Tim casting back Sunday. That's good. I was thinking about something for I'm getting more of a dashboard confessional vibe. Dash cam confessional, is that anything? Conservatives love dash cams, don't they? What about that? Milkshake confessional, that's probably better. Yeah. That's probably better than what I did. Riffing and improving my jokes is maybe a little out of pocket, but whatever. It's like he tried to make the worst thing imaginable. And I'm very like amenable to this kind of style of music, right? I had the same upbringing. This is the exact kind of scene that I came from. Timmy Eat World, okay, that's good. That's good. Not very good though. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really feeling that one. This is what all their big time. These guys are so rich. Like, these guys are so. It's amazing. Like, both Steven Crowder and Tim Pool are so wildly successful from doing this. Which, that's a sobering thing, right? That's sobering. And this is what they got going on here. My Chemical Supplement website romance. That's good. Yeah. My Chemical Rainforce. Fallout Beanie. Okay. Was that at his compound? I imagine it was, yeah. I imagine it was. Taking Back Mundane. Okay, that's good. I'd say that Tim's music is shallow and pedantic. I'm a music critic. Didn't seem bad from that snippet, but sure, it's quite derivative. I mean, the singing, like the vocals were the worst part. The production sounded okay. The production was not that bad. Man. Okay, let's move on from this. Here's something else I wanted to take a look at. Canada's own Pierre Poilievre. This is in my breakfast spot as well. Or it's not my breakfast spot anymore, but this is in Vieux Saint Laurent in Montreal, which is a place that I used to have breakfast every single week. I would eat breakfast here 3 or 4 times a week for 2 or 3 years. So this is Pierre Poilievre, and if you're American or if you're not familiar with the intricacies of Canadian politics, this is the man that's like setting the conservative movement on fire here in Canada. The populist hero. The populist that's going to lead the right-wing wave of like Canadian neo-fascism. This is the guy. And this is the kind of content that he's putting out here. He is the fascist Canadians deserve. We all deserve it. We all deserve it. The line cook spits in his food. It would be so hard not to just like whip a hash brown at him if you were watching this. You know, if you're just, imagine you're just trying to eat breakfast and Pierre Polyev is like doing this while you're trying to, like, you're hungover and you're trying to eat like a nice breakfast or whatever. Oh, hello, Justin. I'm eating a food sandwich made from ingredients. I am a person. Let's hear this. This is so bad. I only watched like 5 seconds of this because I was like, no, I have to watch this live for like people's entertainment and enjoyment and torture myself with it.
Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey, wakey time. Thanks very much for taking my invitation to have a little breakfast. I know you're just back from your vacation in Costa Rica. And there's a few things you might not have noticed while you were gone. Starting with the price of coffee. It's up 14% in 1 year. Not just coffee, Justin. Bacon is up 8%. Milk to put in your coffee, it's up 7%. Bread's up 15%. And the butter on the bread, that's up 17%, Justin. Eggs, up 16%. So the average Canadian can't even dream of going on a vacation right now to Costa Rica. They're just dreaming about, well, affording food. In fact, there's a poll out, Justin, you might find interesting. About a quarter of Canadians are now borrowing money just for essentials like eating. Justin, can you imagine taking out a loan so that you can eat? Remember when you said that you were borrowing money so that Canadians didn't have to? Well, now Canadians are borrowing up a storm.
And that's why you should invest your retirement in crypto, which is something that Pierre Polyev was recommending that people do. Like 4 months, literally the moment before Bitcoin completely went off a cliff and the whole crypto market completely imploded, this man was telling people to invest their retirement savings into crypto. I think he has a breakfast index. He's negging Justin. It's so bizarre. Like, Pierre, you're not even sitting with Justin. This is so weird, this whole pantomime thing. Like, what is the conservative plan? That's the question. What is the conservative plan to deal with these kinds of things like inflation? He's trying to at the same time talk about like average people, how they can't afford things, but he literally wants to advocate for an economic system that makes it more difficult for people to do any of that stuff. Because the suggestion that he's making is that inflation is coming from some magical
of the friendship triangle.
Oh my, it kind of looks like my head was on him there. Jameson, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. That's very kind of you, Jameson. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. An elite member of the Friendship Triangle, indeed. Jamo, who also checked in on me when I was ill, which I appreciate. Thank you, Jamo. Hello, Justin. I should do this bit more as well. It's just always the amazing thing about this whole like populist conservative shtick. Well, they talk about things like inflation, or they talk about the average people are having a hard time affording these things. And you'll notice like solutions to these actual issues are never really offered. Like Pierre Polyev wants there to be less of a social safety net, not more. And in fact, he suggests that the fact that we have a modicum of a social safety net right now is causing the inflation in the first place. Like this man is advocating for policies that are going to make it significantly more difficult for average people to actually be able to afford basic necessities. You haven't touched your eggs, Justin. It's so creepy. It's really creepily done, creepily put together, this thing. I don't enjoy it. And it's amazing that this is the guy. This is the man with the charisma. This man's boundless charisma is bringing the working class Canadians, average folks, just trying to make ends meet. This is the man that they're all flocking to. How does that make you feel about the country of Canada, or Canada? Has anyone ever thought to call it Canada? That would be wild to say that. The price of a $2 coffee is now $2.14, and that is the thing that's bankrupting people. That's right. This is the guy. This is the charisma just leaps off the screen, though. You have to admit that.
Because they can't afford the higher prices that you've imposed on them, right? You know, it's called inflation or just inflation. I like to put your name in there because it gets your attention. Here's how it happens. You print money to pay for your deficits. $400 billion. You increase the money supply in our...
We got to cut that deficit, folks. That's the problem. We got to cut that deficit. That's going to make our economy way better. If we stop putting money into anything that might possibly get into people's pockets. We need lower taxes on corporations and get into that deficit reduction. That's what average folks sitting around the dinner table or the breakfast table around this country are demanding. The fucking deficit is just way too high. Justin Trudeau also caused the inflation in England and the rest of the world. That's right. What does the deficit have to do with rent inflation? This is a great question. Very good question. If they didn't privatize everything, there wouldn't be any deficit. Another good point. Yes. Like that's the whole thing when you talk about he'll talk about the economic problems. Like we watched when we looked at Pierre's interview with Jordan Peterson. They'll talk about these real economic issues that people are having, or talking about housing or whatever. Are they talking about doing anything about the housing crisis? What are their actual solutions? They don't actually have any. They don't actually have any solutions to these very real economic issues that he kind of suggests that they're going to resolve. Like is his answer to that to put people in housing? Is it to do rent control? Is it to abolish landlordism? No. He is a landlord. He's a landlord himself. He says this because he's speaking to business owners who are worried about profit margins, not regular people. That's right. The main reason we have inflation is because maybe a couple thousand people got CERB that were slightly over the means test, that they were meant to not get it. That's what's causing all this inflation. The fact that for 4 months at the beginning of a pandemic, a few thousand people got $2,000 a month. The best solution is to give money to businesses with no strings attached, which famously what the liberals have been doing. They literally did do that. Imagine having this conversation in real life, but he's telling you that due to just inflation, your rent has now gone up 30%. God. It's so painful to watch this. Let's continue.
Economy by about 20% in 2 years. More money chasing fewer goods, that equals higher prices. Let me break it down for you.
I don't hear you talking with your mouth full.
With 10 pieces of bread and $10. Well, it would be $1 for each piece of bread. If you double the number of dollars, Justin, to 20, you don't get twice as rich.
This is how the economy works.
$20 to buy 10 pieces of bread is now $2 for each piece. In other words, you've doubled the price by doubling the money. Well, that's what happens when you create cash.
Aren't you when they talk about inflation like this, it's this scientific thing? It's just this scientific, this is economics 101, right? It's just this scientific fact that this is how this works, and completely taking away the agency of the people that are selling these products, who are making decisions to increase the price of these products. Maybe we should be talking to some of those folks, frankly, right? There's people that are selling these products. They're not just subject to just these these powerful whims that they can't control. You know, they talk about inflation like it's just this magical scientific law of physics that happens, and completely removes the agency of the people that are in there deliberately making decisions to increase prices to deliver higher profits to themselves and their shareholders, which is the exact function of our whole economic system that motherfuckers like Pierre Poilievre love to fetishize and love to brag about.
Without creating the stuff that cash buys. So, we have 10...
And just to go into this whole thing too about the economy is where it gets the kitchen table issues, right? That's the other trick that these people love to talk about. And look, liberals love to do this as well. The economy is like if you have 10 pieces of bread. It's like, no, it's not. That's not what the economy is like at all, actually. It's like your household budget. No, it is not. No, it is not. It is nothing like your household budget. Again, regular people's households, they don't have a money printing machine in the basement. They don't have the ability to make these decisions. Is this MF eating dry toast? He suggested that there was butter on it, but I think that's a false flag. I don't think there's any butter on that at all. I think it's a dry toast. And look at his face, too. Jesus Christ. This man is such a tremendous dipshit. And to be clear, Justin is a massive dipshit as well. Just so there's no confusion about that. Not with that attitude. That's true. The economy is like this delicious orange. You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me, you look at Justin, you see that statement is not true. See, normally you go one-on-one with another politician, you got a 50-50% chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best to beat me. Then you would chug me to the mix. Your chances of winning drastically go down. That's right, it's the Steiner math. It is the fascists that we deserve. Why are all our reactionaries so dorky? I don't know. It is a dork-ass country. I fucking hate it here. Justin Man bad. Yeah. International finance capital and global commodity production is actually not like your household budget, as it turns out. Actually, that's not true whatsoever. You can't have your little breakfast plate and do a little special diagram about the economy. None of that is accurate.
Percent food price inflation in Canada today. 10%. And overall, our inflation rate is near a 40-year high. So what are your plans to do about it? Well, you want to further increase the carbon tax by 200%. Justin, gas prices have been hovering near all-time highs already. And you want to continue running these monster deficits that will bid up the price of goods. And finally, you want to make food more expensive by forcing farmers to cut back on the fertilizer that they use to make our food by 30%. Now, I want you to stop and think, how does it help the environment? If you force farmers to reduce their food production for every acre of land, they're going to have to use a bigger footprint of land to make the same amount of food, which forces them, of course, to drive longer distances in those big tractors and combines and burn more fuel. Beyond that, because they would not be competitive with global food prices, we'd have to import more food. And that food would have to be transported by ship, train, and truck, all burning fuel as well. And by the way, Justin, didn't you notice during COVID how reckless it was for us to depend on the rest of the world for our essentials? Shouldn't we be producing our own food here? We have among the most abundant supply of farmland of any country on planet Earth, and you want us to import more food?
Sir, Pierre, while we're doing the whole pantomime thing, Pierre, what was that? Didn't quite catch that. Let me hear that again, please.
It was for us to depend on the rest of the world for our essentials. Shouldn't we be producing our own food here? We have among the most abundant supply of farmland of any country on planet Earth, and you want us to import more food? Excuse me.
You know, Pierre, don't be afraid of doing a second take. You can do a second take. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, you tried. It was a good effort. You can just run it back. You can run it back. I mean, you got... You'd already done 20 takes. This is the best one. Outrun, watch it. Watch it. I would love to see this guy put together a 4 or 5 hour daily show and talk about these important concepts all day. Yeah, he just said, so he said the monster deficits run up the price of food. Where's the evidence for this? We don't know. Exactly. Isn't a major expense for governments the agricultural subsidies that help lower agricultural prices? That's the thing. I don't think he quite understands these concepts. Or he maybe he does, and he's just hoping that other regular people don't understand them. The regular Canadians that he loves to fetishize. TPPS. Oh no. I don't want to speak that into existence. Is because of inflation. They can't get more food to eat for more takes. That's right. They did up their whole budget was just in the one breakfast plate. That's a good question too, John. It does kind of seem like a lot of these problems with inflation and specifically with fertilizer happened due to the sanctions regime on Russia, which is not actually fucking working.
Land of any country on planet Earth, and you want us to import more food, excuse me.
What a loser. What a loser. He said feud and fool. Maybe he does have COVID brain. Relatable doofus? I don't find him relatable, frankly. I find it's so painfully attempting to be relatable that it makes it extremely alienating. And again, I just have to marvel at the fact that like these average conservatives are rallying around this guy. This massive fucking loser dork. If this guy's probably going to be our prime minister too. Like let's be real about what's going to happen. How depressing is that? What a shameful country. If you're still holding on to the idea that this country is like real at all. Once this guy becomes prime minister, winning like 31% of the vote, we'll see it. We'll revisit some of that stuff. Is that something that would happen in a real country? Is that something that would happen in like a real democracy? It's just because he's so hot. That's true. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Oh my goodness gracious, metal dipshit. Jesus H. Christ.
Full feud.
Metal dipshit, thank you very much for the $100. That's really kind of you. Oh my goodness. I would vote for metal dipshit over this guy any day of the week. DeSantis has the same energy. I think DeSantis isn't as much of a nerd. I think I agree with you, but Pierre is going to like a completely different nerdy level of like completely fucking just an unappealing loser. But you're right though that I don't think DeSantis is quite the charisma machine that some people make him out to be. Pierre, if we have so much available farmland and energy reservoirs, why don't we produce for need and feed everyone for free instead of growing cash crops and throwing out more waste than produce we end up selling? That's a great question. That's a great question. How can he become your PM with 30 whatever percent? How does that work in Canada? Well, because we have a multi-party democracy that's still first past the post. So which allows these kinds of results to happen. Which is the funny thing about Justin Trudeau, which is that he specifically campaigned on ending our first past the post system and implementing some kind of proportional representation or some kind of like actually representative democracy, which of course he famously failed to do. I've got to read Respect Your Elders comment here because it's pretty wild. Respect Your Elders first time chatter says, I'm concerned that the politics of millennials is being affected by the fact that older guys are sleeping with their women who yearn for wisdom and experience. Is that why 90% of millennial men are entitled capitalist consumers who want the world to run on oppression so they can keep sipping their lattes and eating their cartel-produced avocados? Respect your elders. I don't know if I have an answer for you on that one. I don't know if I have an answer for you. I'm going to ruminate on that. And maybe we can think about it, and I'll get back to you. Hopefully I'm going to have some kind of an answer for you, and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
It's so crazy, I can't even say it.
Oh,
you
nice
want us
recovery.
to import more food from other countries with poorer environmental standards? Justin, it doesn't make sense. That's why I invited you here. I wanted to get your head back in the game here. So this is what I'm proposing. Why don't you cancel the attack on our farmers, get rid of this fertilizer mandate, axe the carbon tax so that they can produce our food more affordably, and we can repatriate more of our food and other production back to this country rather than sending our jobs and production to faraway polluting land.
What was the movement that spearheaded that? Outsourcing all the manufacturing to other these far away polluting lands that he's referencing? Who was it that championed that again? I always get confused when I hear conservatives talk about this. It's very confusing when they complain about how all their production has been outsourced like this. I'm always very kind of like taken aback by that. Who was the ones that did that again? I mean, obviously liberals aren't blameless in that either, because this was a bipartisan thing. But pretending that this wasn't a fucking a central tenet of the conservative movement from 1980 onward, I think is a little disingenuous. Yeah, they think free trade is bad. That's right. Yes, he's doing the Clint Eastwood empty chair thing, except it's even more cringe because you have the camera like pretending to be a person. It was the NWO. Well, if it was, then I would think it was good. If it was like Scott Hall that was doing it. Alas. And that's a good point, John. The globalization is this guy's passive income. And he's a landlord as well, as much as he loves to talking about the housing crisis and the unaffordability of housing. Like the thing that's driving the unaffordability of housing is rampant landlordism, which conservatives support, which he himself is a landlord, which liberals support, which the NDP supports as well. They love the free market until they don't. She complains about China as well, don't they? How did China get all that manufacturing capability? I can't remember. I think that respect your elders comment is going to have to be a new copy pasta. That was a good comment. I must admit.
Why don't you stop printing money to pay your bills by bringing in a pay-as-you-go law that requires government find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending?
These are the new fresh ideas, the pay-as-you-go laws. These are the new fresh ideas that this conservative man is bringing to the table. It was the Latino world order. You know, this is the fresh thinking. If you're going to introduce new spending, you introduce cuts. Cuts at the same time. You just got to restrict that government spending. Lower those corporate taxes. Has anyone tried this? Why has no one tried this ever? That hair slicks back real nice. Big piece of shit right here. He both used to be a piece of shit and still is. And that's not pushed back. That's slicked back. That's what I mean though. It's like they talk about these economic problems, and he gets this kind of like credit from the media for talking about the issues. For talking about these economic issues that people are experiencing, and all the solutions they have are the same fucking tired bullshit that we've been hearing from these same people for 30 years, or 40 years now. It's the same thing. austerity, cut back government spending, low taxes. This is all these people have to fucking offer. And of course, when he gets talked about in the media for talking to these these kitchen table issues or whatever, obviously this is never actually referenced. The fact that no solutions are being advanced which in any way actually will do anything to confront these crises. Dry toast but wet steak. That's right. Sloppy steaks. It's Vieux Saint Laurent. I'm worried these adult babies in Canada think that these people can change, that Pierre isn't a piece of shit. I'm worried about it too, Doc. God damn. Find $1 savings for every new dollar of spending. What are these fucking outrageously new and fresh ideas? I've never heard this before.
That way, we won't have to put all this inflationary cash into the economy. And I know that's hard. You have to be disciplined to find savings, Justin. But maybe we should replace
There's
you
the
with
coffee
a
table thing
single
again.
mom who knows how to run a budget.
That's the exact same thing, right? It's the exact same thing. It's just like your family budget. No, it is not, sir. It's literally nothing like that. I think this guy should leave. I agree.
Right now, Justin, single moms are able to run budgets better than you do. Unfortunately, lately they've been doing that by making a lot of sacrifices that you've imposed on them. And there are single moms who are literally cutting back.
I would
on
love
their
to see
kids'
Pierre's
diet,
family
putting
budget as well.
water in their kids' milk because they can't afford the 10% year-over-year food inflation that you have imposed on them. So why don't you listen to my common sense ideas? Let's tackle inflation, make paychecks go further, stop creating cash and start creating more of what cash buys. In other words, Justin, wake up and smell the coffee.
Oh. God, he's such a fucking loser. Now he's doing the soy jack face. I'd love to get a Marxist economist analysis of Canadian economics. Well, this is the thing. If we had a kind of, it would be cool if we had some kind of state media apparatus that was interested in this thing that these people love to fetishize, both liberals and conservatives love to fetishize the marketplace of ideas. And it's kind of weird how in a country with this decaying housing system, with this decaying healthcare system, with all these very real economic problems that we do have, funnily enough, in our marketplace of ideas, this analysis is just completely absent. And you have this extremely narrow scope of this bullshit, conservative family budget thing or neoliberal economics. And that's the only two poles of this discussion. And even if they don't agree with it, the people that fetishize this precious free press and precious marketplace of ideas are just having zero interest in presenting that kind of analysis. And in fact, if some social democrat comes along, they get treated like they're fucking Stalin. If someone in the NDP suggests going out beyond that a little bit beyond these extremely narrow arguments and saying maybe we should have some kind of social democracy, they get talked about like they're fucking Joseph Stalin in our media. To say nothing of having a Marxist analysis of economics. Well, of course, just an avocado eating, latte drinking millennial man like you doesn't get it. That is true. That is very true. Good old Pierre's allies in the Ontario government are really helping us out. My last monthly daycare bill was $2,600. Fucking goddamn. My wife's take-home pay is $2,700. I'm sure glad conservatives are helping us balance the budget, so my wife gets to experience the privilege of working for $100 a month. Yeah, exactly. And does Pierre advocate for subsidized or free daycare? Of course not. Of course, that's the thing that contributes to inflation, right? Anytime you actually do anything to subsidize things that help these people, that causes the inflation. And the only thing that helps them is to pull back on those things and privatize it even more. You should get Michael Roberts / the next recession on for an interview. I can look into that, old Dutch. They use all the money they could to hire a Marxist economist to build another Nazi memorial. We love those. We got plenty of government funds for those. And if frankly, if I wanted to see Pierre Poilievre talk about like out of control spending in Ottawa, I would love for him to cancel the Victims of Communism Memorial, which the Canadian government is putting millions of dollars of taxpayer funds into building. What a wasteful project. This is bullshit government art that these conservatives are supposed to be against. I would love to see Pierre Poilievre come out against that horrible fucking eyesore fascist monument that we're building. If he cares so much about like the balanced budget and all this stuff. You know, that would be really interesting. Yeah, or the billions of dollars going to Ukraine as well, which I don't recall ever like voting for either. Has he come out against that? I don't think so. Just this whole act is just so fucking tired. I know guys that have been working on the monument. Apparently the first company they hired to do a masonry fucked up, so that are calling in a new company to fix it. Oh, great. Good. That's a great use of taxpayer funds. It is boring and disingenuous. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that we talked about, like when we looked at Pierre's interview with Jordan Peterson. Just like no actual solutions to anything that he's talking about. A completely facile and childlike understanding of like the causes of all these problems. You know, his refusal to acknowledge or accept that capitalism has played a role in exacerbating every single one of these economic problems that he loves to talk about. I don't know, if you asked him, he'd probably say that we don't live in a capitalist country, that we have crony capitalism, or that we have Trudeau socialism or whatever. The $8 million high school football stadiums in Texas provide a better public service than those fascist monuments. I mean, at least an $8 million high school stadium is providing a place for like a community to come together. You know, at least there's an actual service that's being provided. It is baby talk silliness. That's right. It is. It's just so fucking lame, this guy. And I would have given it another take. Here's Pierre at the beginning of the pandemic.
I just want to be clear about something about the upcoming budget. Do you or don't you want to see special measures in there now? Because one would think that the federal government will have to have some for the country to deal with COVID-19.
Yeah, I've just listed when you asked the question the first time, I answered it by saying that yes, we do believe that we need to lower taxes, eliminate regulatory red tape.
That doesn't exactly address COVID-19, though. In all
actually,
fairness,
in fairness, it might not address it the way you want it to.
This is all the answers they ever
have.
have.
You might want to address it through big fat government programs. We're conservatives, so we don't believe in that.
Yeah, no shit. This is all this. It's like presenting this guy, it's like journalistic malpractice to present this guy like he's offering something different or interesting, or that there's anything about him that's different from any of the long line of like conservatives that he comes from. This lifelong politician. And he's getting treated like he's presenting these kind of like genuine alternatives. Oh, excuse me. A bungled private public partnership with shitty construction companies to build the Victims of Communism Memorial is just too perfect. Seriously. I'm going to have to stop talking soon because I'm getting kind of like, I'm running out of energy and it's starting to hurt my throat. Does he tweet good at least? No, he doesn't. I mean, that's That was his tweet. His tweets are bad. And by the way, young people in Canada are being drawn to this because they have no other fucking alternatives. When you look at their like the way that the polling is shifting, young people are this is the only fucking alternative to our endless liberal hegemony, so they're getting pulled into this. And again, our media plays a role in that as well, because the NDP, not only did they completely fail to present an alternative themselves, but even when they do, they get treated by our political and our media class like they're fucking extremists.
Everyone meet Andrea. Andrea is one of the...
Listen to his voice. Like, you know, you think about a politician that's going to inspire some kind of a big mass movement, and the charisma they have to have, and their voice, especially the voice that they can use to kind of articulate these ideas. And look, she's looking at him like he's fucking God. What am I missing here? Listen to this man's voice. It's so irritating.
Everyone meet Andrea. Andrea is one of the many heroes in this country we call single moms. They're working harder and harder. They're doing everything right, and yet they just can't get ahead. Tell me your story about that, Andrea.
Well, a few years back, I was just a regular employee. I worked really, really hard. I got to the manager position. I thought I could make my life better for my daughter. I used to have daycare subsidy, child tax. I did okay. And ever since I got to that management position, I've just lost and lost and lost, and I have less.
So all your benefits got clawed back because you
worked harder.
You worked hard.
Clawed back by who? You got clawed back by who? And he's talking about daycare subsidies and all this shit. Like, this is all stuff that he explicitly does not believe in.
Did what I was supposed to do, and I can't get by. Yeah.
That's the work meter. We charge people more for the crime of working. She earns an extra $1, she loses 80 cents in clawbacks and taxes. And then inflation comes and gobbles up the rest. And daycare, no matter what you do. We need to create a country where we reward work so that single moms can actually put food on the table and get ahead in their lives, because they're doing everything right. It's time the government did too.
We need care.
Thank you so much.
So great.
What does Pierre want to do about daycare subsidies? Like, talking about this is like extra insulting. Like, this man and any conservative that's going to like talk about this issue does not believe in subsidizing daycare for people, and they believe in privatizing it more, which is going to make it more expensive. Yeah, he thinks universal daycare is unnecessary spending that adds to the deficit, which apparently causes inflation. Right? This is the thing that comes up time and time again. They'll talk about the problem, the very real problems, and they do not have any fucking solutions. Yeah, and that's right, Lana. It's means testing that's causing that. So maybe we should have more universal social programs. But he's literally arguing for the opposite of that. Yes, means testing is what's keeping people in poverty and what gives you this sense of being penalized for becoming more successful. Pierre's really boring to people think he's really going to win elections. Well, Frug, I mean, like, people are tired of Trudeau, and rightfully so. They should be. And because we live in this fucking, even though we have a so-called multi-party democracy, it's a de facto two-party state. And this is the guy, I guess, that is people are starting to rally around. And I don't get it either. Believe me. I don't get it either. Yeah, it sounds to me like Pierre's about to advocate for dumping the means testing and going for more universal programs. No, but that's it. He wants to do the exact opposite. He wants to abolish subsidies for working people and destroy labor rights. The parties have swapped positions. Now liberals deny problems exist and chuds see you and hear you. Yeah. She used to have daycare and now it's means tested. Huh? Yeah. The NDP deciding to form an alliance with Trudeau is at his lowest popularity as typical NDP. Yeah, and now they're still bragging about it. Jagmeet Singh is still bragging about getting people dental care because the fucking deal masters in the NDP negotiated this deal to get means tested dental care for some people at some point in the next decade. And they're just like, well, I guess our job here is done. Like, but you didn't do anything. Like that's literally what they're doing. That's the big thing that they're going to hang their hat on. It's possibly getting means tested dental care at some point this decade, maybe. Not a guarantee. That's what it is. That's the big deal. That's the deal they made with the Liberals. And people wonder, like, why aren't young people just gravitating towards the NDP? What's going on here? What am I missing? The NDP is just supposed to be the natural landing place for young people that are disaffected with our political system. Why are they all turning away from the NDP? Why are they getting caught up in this bullshit? Well, maybe that has something to do with it. It's just an embarrassing political culture in this country. Just fucking embarrassing. And it's going to be this guy versus Chrystia Freeland in the next federal election, most likely. It's just the most grim possibility. Really could use some dental care and mental health as well. I agree. I absolutely agree. No one is offering this, though. Lots of talk Trudeau will actually run to set the record for most wins. I guess it depends on like what his popularity is looking like when it gets to that point, right? Because I think from his perspective, like, would he rather just like fade away into the sunset and get to retire as the golden boy and just let Chrystia take the fall and fall on the sword for him? Or does he want to try and squeak out one more? I don't know. I bet they're probably going to be paying close attention to what the polling is looking like. And if it looks like it's just going to get wiped out in a blue wave regardless, he's probably just going to step aside and let someone else take the fall. Well, you know what? One second, I forgot to plug in my phone. I got to plug in my phone. In fact, the media is on a full-on manufacturing consent for private healthcare. That's what I mean. It's like all these issues that we talk about, these economic crises that we're facing, we're all going in the opposite direction. Right? We're headed in no actual solutions are being talked about from the conservatives, from the liberals, from the IDP, or from anybody. And yeah, now we're going to this fully like privatized system of just basically open social murder and eugenics now. And if Pierre does get elected, especially housing and all these issues are going to be privatized even further. The landlordism is going to get even more out of control. Whatever remains of our social safety net is going to get decimated. You know, it's really fucking grim. This is what's going on in Canada, folks. I wish there was a party with A people-first focus with bold and ambitious ideas to improve people's lives. Let's see what the Communist Party of Canada is up to. Oh my God. Yeah. Good. Wonderful. We're in really great shape here. Things are going very well. Rentierism, fascism in future. And then we're just going to get annexed by the US and just like formalize this whole, the fact that we're already a northern US province, just maybe formalize that whole arrangement. I've got to stop talking so much, folks. And I have to actually leave in about 15 or 20 minutes. Because I'm, like I said, I'm going to go out and meet some people for a Sanka set. Lana, do you want to come to the Sanka set? You should come. Lana, do you want to hang out in like 90 minutes? Boy, we're making real life plans here. Spending millions to put a headdress on the Pope and send a delegation for Taiwan, but no money for disabled people. And in fact, just euthanasia for disabled people. Can't today. Okay. No problem. No problem. Is Pierre invited? No, he is not. No, he is not. And in fact, if he showed up, I would thumb my nose at him. That's how strongly I feel about this man. I would thumb my nose at him. Oh man, that actually came up today and a coworker said, we'll be just like Crimea. I did it well, actually, but then chickened out pretty quickly. Folks, I will soon enough get back to being able to do this show for the proper length of, like the normal length of time. I'm supposed to do this show for 4 or 5 hours a day or so. Like I said, this is like the last week of summer vacation for my kids, so the timing is a little bit tricky. But if you do enjoy this program and you want to support the show and support the community, I would encourage you to please subscribe to this channel. Like I said, I've been physically ill. I had COVID. I'm trying to get back to my regular state. I've got brain fog. I got a bit of depression going on as well.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
So I am trying to get back to. I will get back to where I'm going to be. But again, if you want to support this this content and the show, I would encourage you to please subscribe, like Gen X Bushy just did. Thank you, Gen X Bushy, for the gifted sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And if anyone else want to subscribe, again, it's like these are shorter streams. The sub goal is ambitious. I realize if we could get a little bit closer, then I will feel okay about this this whole prospect. And because I really do have to leave soon because my throat is getting sore from talking so much. And look at the wonderful emotes that Gen X Bushy is showing. Have you tried slicking your hair back like our good pal Pierre? Really help with your work ethic.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Comrade Social Distancing, for the gifted sub as well and for all the support that you've shown the channel. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you. I'm scratching my nose, and I was actually practicing my nose thumbing. My Pierre nose thumbing.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh my gosh, anonymous gifter. Thank you very much, anonymous gifter. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Anonymous gifters, folks. We love them. They don't ask for anything. They don't ask for anything in return. What else do I got? I'm trying to like give a compelling pitch for people to join the community. I'm just running out of energy. I'm quickly running out of energy. I'm wondering if I should just put on Easy Lover and just stare at the camera until I can get to, I think I can get to over 20 just by doing that. Right? I think I could get to over 20 subs if I just stared at the camera for the next 3-4 minutes. The awkward pause in the song is about to come up. Hey, what if Fool believes instead? Okay. So again, folks, I'm not counting on hitting the sub goal today. I know these are shorter streams. I get that it's like a little ambitious, but please subscribe to the show if you can. It's very helpful. I missed a lot of time from being sick, and I'm kind of like trying to make up for some of the deficit that I've gotten here. So if you can, please subscribe. It's very helpful. One generous chatter could get us to at least over 20 for the day, which I would feel good about. So if you don't mind me, I will just be staring at the camera for the next few minutes. Here we go.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I always wondered that as well, Heroic Skeleton. Progressive Canuck, thank you for the gifted sub. Doc Hollywood, thank you so much for the gifted sub as well. Ragdagen, thank you for a gifted sub. Very kind of you all. Thank you for bailing me out. Is Rob's intimidation tactic working? Only kind of. Only kind of. I did see Dan Beckner is getting the NAFO crowd is going after Dan. Yeah, I did see that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all
Oh my
this.
goodness, Ragdagen, another gifted sub. Thank you. Ragdagen cares about putting me out of my misery. Always very awkward when the seconds tick by and then the minutes going by doing this bit. Always a weird and bad feeling that. Thank you very much, Ragdagen. I appreciate it a lot. Was he just being really still? I was, yeah. I could just eventually just put a picture of myself there to save myself the pain of it. Just if I just stuck a picture of myself there staring at the camera weirdly. It's the modulation in the chorus. I love that. I'm not even gonna dignify your comment with a response. Be cool, Theo. What a fool believes sucks. Jesus. To be honest, Comrade Social Distancing, I don't totally understand the NAFO thing either. I don't totally get it either. Maybe Theo would prefer you played Tim Pool's band as well. Only a fool would believe that this song sucks. That's right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to the show. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. So Doc, very generous, Doc Hollywood, community member Doc Hollywood, very generously donated, and was also be speaking to our friend Red Scary today on Doc Stream. So I think we can go ahead and raid our friend Doc Hollywood.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob.
Oh
to,
man, Gen
talk
X
you
Bushy,
through all
thank you
this.
so much. I had just given up. I had given up, frankly. Gen X Bushy, you bailed me out yet again. I really appreciate all the support that you showed this channel and me. Gen X Bushy, really, it means a lot. Thank you. Well, thanks again for watching again today, everyone. I made it 2 hours, 20 minutes today. That's the longest stream that I've done for a while. I'm having a hard time believing that like a few weeks ago I was doing multiple 9-hour streams per week. Eventually I will be able to get back at this though. I hope. Unless this is just my new normal where I have no energy or ability to speak for any long period of time. That would be kind of frustrating. Thank you, Dave. Don't overdo it too soon. Yeah, you're right. I've been trying not to. No, I haven't tried the Fortnite stuff in Dragon Ball, Dr. Awesome. I haven't really been gaming. I haven't really been doing any gaming. If it'd help and you want a layup day, we can ask the Discord for vids to watch on the stream. I mean, there's a VJ breakthrough news thing coming up pretty soon that I wanted to watch. So perhaps you can do that tomorrow. It's funny, we haven't even talked about the whole, like, we talked a little bit like about Mar-a-Lago and the whole raid there by Ragdigen. Thanks again for the support today. I really appreciate it. We didn't really talk about any of the fallout about the documents. Ooh, the secret documents. Oh my goodness. You have people still working themselves up to a tizzy after years of this shit. Still thinking that this is that this is so important, which is kind of funny. Oh no, not the nuclear documents. Ooh. It's pretty funny. We haven't even mentioned any of this stuff. What about if the documents tell Poodler how to take over America? We don't know. We don't know. Oh wait, I have one more thing to show you. Fuck. Do I have time to do this?
Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and handsome and thin.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Young.
Very nice. Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and